It's totally normal if you're feeling a sense of uncertainty about your business right now. In times of change, it's healthy to feel a little uncertainty. That's designed to keep you safe and protect you from bad things that can happen. We have to balance that with the reality that in every market condition that's ever happened, transactions are still taking place.
I think the coolest part, click on the little sandwich button, scroll down, you can see your members, all the events, but the mini master classes, that's what's going to set this apart, along with the master classes that are coming. But now you can click on the mini master class that you like. It's broken down into sections. You've got the process here. You can scroll down, watch the video if you want. They're not very long. They're about 5 minutes each. And you can go and click on the PDF, and there you have all the notes for that specific mini master class. To me,
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Dan Stewart, founder of Happy Grasshopper and host of today's session, which is all about finding opportunity that already exists in your database. Today's session is called Find Gold in the Old, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So I see we've got people logging in from all over the place. Let's cover some ground rules for today. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on the chat the whole time. So I would love to see you guys chime in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know you can see me and hear me. That's always good. So we got New York in the house, Paso Robles. That's just fun to say. We got Annapolis, Maryland here. I was just in, where the heck was I? I went to DC last week. I was in Arlington for an event. That was cool. We got Deb in Utah. We got Portland, Oregon in the house. Very cool. Little Boston, Mass over here, Florida, San Diego. We got people from all over the place. So wherever you're from, let's start today by just recognizing that we're here for each other, right? We're going to get the most out of today's session through conversation. So again, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on this chat the whole entire time throughout the session. And I want to see your questions, your comments, your feedback. There will be time during today's session when I ask questions that I definitely need your answers for. So give me a big yes in the chat if you're willing to play along with that. Let's have the yes. I will wait. Here comes some yeses. Here we come. Boom. Awesome. Super cool. This is great. I love to see all the yeses. So some of you probably know me, right? I've been kind of a fixture in the real estate landscape for over a decade now. I want you to understand that I am 100% in my labor of love phase of life. And that means really being wanting to give and help other people as much as possible, especially when we have this thing going on in the market right now. Like who saw that interest rates went up again today, right? It's happening all the time. It's totally normal if you're feeling a sense of uncertainty about your business right now. In times of change, it's healthy to feel a little uncertainty. That's designed to keep you safe and protect you from bad things that can happen. We have to balance that with the reality that in every market condition that's ever happened, transactions are still taking place. In every market condition that's ever happened, everyone still has to live somewhere. There is opportunity in your market right now. It's in your database right now, and we're going to do the work together of pulling that out. Cool? Can we dive in? Are we ready to get started? I think we are. So I am going to share my screen here. Let me get this pulled up for you. You should be seeing something called LCA Nurture on the screen. And that's very quickly going to get replaced with one of the all-time weirdest pictures of me that's ever been taken, and Felix. Felix is running a little bit behind due to a little internet outage today. So he will be joining us here momentarily. Now, today's session is a class, and you're going to learn a lot of things today in the class. Specifically, we're going to talk about why now is the right time to focus on your database. It's more important today than it was yesterday, right? Market change makes it that important. So we're going to arm you not just with the reasons why, but actually with the content to help you approach this from the right perspective. I'm going to show you how to reactivate your old contacts, your leads, anyone that's in your database. We're going to figure out how to re-engage them. And we're going to do that with content that's designed to get replies. Now, getting replies is the name of the game, because one of the oldest truths about real estate is that conversation leads to contracts. Conversation leads to contracts. Conversation leads to closing. Conversation leads to commission, right? You've heard this before, and yet some of you are still sending content that teaches everyone everything they need to know and robbing yourself of the opportunity to actually have the conversation with them. So today we're going to fix that. Now, if you would like to connect with me, you see that QR code on your screen. You can just scan that with your phone. Or if you're old school, you can type in that URL, danstewart.com. That lets you get direct access to me. I'm in my labor of love phase, so I definitely want to be accessible for you. Now, let's take a look at who's here. We did a little research before the session. So most of you have around 1,000 people in your database. Some of you have less than 100. No matter how many you have, you're in the right place. The content here today is going to help you. Now, some of you say that you've got a ton of dead leads in your database. Others don't have any at all. There's no right number. There's just your number. So if you're feeling a little pressure that maybe your database isn't big enough, I promise you it doesn't matter, right? It just does not matter. Now, here's one of the more interesting things. Most of you operate your businesses based on relationship, right? There should be some key learning there. Knowing that your business operates on relationship in a time of changing market conditions, this is like your perfect storm of opportunity if you look at it the right way. And of course, to help you look at it the right way, we've got to understand a few things. So let's start by understanding what your goals are. Where are you year to date in the number of transactions you've done? What needs to change in order for you to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself, right? You have to understand these things. You have to wrap your arms around them. And then you have to do the things that actually work, right? It's easy to kind of hang out and say, oh, I hope it works. But that won't take you very far, right? It's much more effective for you to do what actually works. And that's what we're going to be focused on here today. So let's dig in here. Let's cover some good stuff. I'm going to cover that first question, which is why now is the time to really, truly get your database in shape. We are moving, folks, from a market of speed to a market of skill. Felix is here. Hey, Felix.
Hey, Dan. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Welcome. I'm glad you're able to join us. I didn't wait, man. I just said, let's go. We got people who want to learn some things. So let's dive in.
Totally. Yeah. I'll let you continue. And then I'd love to ask you some questions. This is a topic I was really interested in hosting.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive in for sure. So the reality we have to face is that we are moving from a market of speed to a market of skill. That gives you a huge advantage if you're aware of what the data actually says and what it means. Now, last week, I was invited to speak at a conference in Washington, D.C., and one of my fellow speakers was the good Mr. Lawrence Yun. If you guys don't know him, he is the chief economist at NAR. And he had all the up to the moment stats. Pretty cool stuff to have, right? Really interesting to look at the economic data that explains the market conditions we're experiencing. So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version here. We're in an unusual and unprecedented economic reality. We have a historic supply shortage of homes. There are fewer houses available for people than the market needs. This is causing prices to increase, and that's going to continue, even though interest rates are climbing, right? That those two things don't normally go together, and yet here they are going together. So one of the things Lawrence shared is that 6% mortgage is going to become the new normal. And the good news is that most lenders have already priced in future federal interest rate hikes in today's mortgage price. So we don't expect to see a lot of volatility in that price. It should stay pretty stable. So I'm going to ask you a question, guys. If you're personally feeling a little bit of anxiety about your real estate career in a shifting market, how do you think that client who made 68 offers last year before they finally got a house under contract, how do you think they feel, right? This is an unprecedented opportunity for you to show up and offer leadership to people. It is the ideal, perfect time to finally get your database in shape and really build better relationships with all the people that you serve, right? Relationships are critical because they protect us from whatever the market does. Relationships aren't just important, they are the most important thing, right? So if we're going to do some things differently than we've done in the past, I think it makes sense for us to start with a shared understanding of how growth in real estate really happens, right? Seems reasonable. So let's start with that moment. And I know for some of you, you got to go back a ways to remember this, but you remember how great it felt when you passed the test and you became a licensed realtor? Like, was that a good day? It was a good day. And almost immediately, the cold, hard reality of what it means to be an agent sunk in. You know, it felt awesome. And then it felt like, oh gosh, what do I do now? I learned how to get through a transaction. I did not learn how to build a career. So if you're a newer agent and you're feeling this sense of struggle, the first growth plateau that you have to surpass is moving from a place of uncertainty to a place where you're moving in a direction, right? Instead of you're asking yourself what you could do, you're doing stuff. And that stuff you do, it could be door knocking, cold calling, holding houses open for other agents. It could be anything under the sun, as long as you're taking a direction. That internal feeling, it shifts from feeling like a struggle to feeling like hope. And that's a better way to feel. Honestly, it is. Most agents spend their entire career here at this pro level. They get really great at getting through a transaction, and yet their own businesses feel like this peak and valley crazy roller coaster. Anybody relate to that? It'd be a good time to pop a yes in the chat if you can relate to that. Who feels like your business is on a roller coaster? Let's see that in the chat. And I'll wait. I will definitely do that. Yes, absolutely. So Emelisa, thank you for sharing that. Richard, thank you for sharing that, right? From a community perspective, it really helps for us to see that we're not the only people who feel that way. You know, wherever you are in your career is exactly where you need to be to get where you want to go. You just have to recognize, well, what's the path I need to follow, right? So if you're used to doing a certain number of transactions per year, and you're frustrated that no matter what you've tried, you can't seem to break through that next growth plateau. Maybe you're doing 10 or 20 or 30 or 50, and you want to do more and you just can't get through it. Well, the plateau you have to break through is where you shift from acting like an operator to running your business like an owner? That one is a little tough because, it's kind of fun in a market moving as fast as it has the past few years. You can kind of coast along from deal to deal to deal and still earn a great living. But in a market of skill, that doesn't cut it anymore, right? You need to go ahead and level up your game. You need to install systems and processes. You need to have a playbook for what happens for all these contacts in your database. And of course, today we're going to provide that structure for you so you know what to do. Now, I love this master level. Speaking personally as a business owner, it's the only time I feel okay. I can't sleep at night if I'm worried about, what happened to that person or that lead or that past client. I need to have it on lockdown. And when you get these things figured out, you can take that financial boot off your neck. Maybe for the first time in your life, you get to a point where the only place to really grow is more towards personal freedom and self-fulfillment than it is about an economic reality. And when you do that, of course, everything feels like winning. That is a wonderful place to be because you have the layers and structures, the systems and processes to make sure no matter what happens, you're going to be fine, right? So I know some of you are like, wow, I've never seen the market laid out like that. I've never looked at real estate growth that way before. If you're having that moment, that's awesome because now it's those blue sections. Those are the growth plateaus you need to focus on. So ask yourself, okay, where am I and where do I want to go? And then it's about just building the path that's going to take you there. Now, invariably, that path, it's forged with database. And this sounds so cliche and old and busted. You guys can say it with me. Fortune is in the follow-up, right? Yeah, there's gold in the old, in other words. Your largest asset is your database. Contacts are worthless. Relationships are priceless. Like these are all absolute truths, and yet it's not fair to expect an agent in the midst of real estate to also be great at database. It's like, the brain surgeon who's also, a lineman in the NFL. Like that's a rare combination. It doesn't occur every day. So if you're going to succeed with database, you have to simplify things. And that starts with recognizing that there's only really two levers you can steer this ship with. One of them would be the tech that you choose. And to some extent, let's acknowledge that all this tech does essentially the same thing, right? They all sort contacts and send messaging. In this kind of environment, what really stands out is the quality of the message that you deliver. If you're going to cut through all the noise and actually get to the good stuff, you have to send better content. And the first step there to do that is getting organized. And I know you're like, really? First step to having abs is doing sit-ups? Yuck. I don't want to do sit-ups. Sit-ups are for losers. I'm not doing sit-ups. The good news is these sit-ups are not as complicated as you think they are. Your contacts are all in the same places. Your phone, your email, your CRM, your MLS, whatever lead sources you have. So all you have to do is export them from all of those sources. Okay, now you've got them in a bunch of different spreadsheets. It's time to deduplicate them, clean them up, title case correct them. I know that sounds hard, but software does that for you. You don't have to worry about that part. The challenging part for most people is, well, I don't know, this person, they search for a house in this zip code at this price point. I think I need a whole separate group to have those contacts in. You can get so complex and complicated that you can't do anything with your database. So you must have a way to simplify this. And 12 years, I'll tell you the best way I've ever figured out to do it is by relationship. At the end of the day, there's two kinds of human beings. They know us and they don't. Your past clients know you. They know the value you provide. Your leads don't, right? To a lead, you're just another person who can go open a door, another person who passed a test. You're not special to them until you've taught them why your past client sphere know that you're special, right? So you need different messaging for your sphere than you do for your leads. Absolutely that you do, right? Now, the getting organized part is not uber complicated. I promise you, I'm going to show you some hacks for that. Taking action is not uber complicated. I'm going to show you some hacks for that. In fact, Jake has put one in the chat for you already. Happy Grasshopper and LabCoatAgents have partnered to give you access to a service called LCA Nurture. And in LCA Nurture, you can pull in your contacts from all these sources. They're automatically deduplicated. They're automatically title case corrected. And when it comes to those two groups, we only want the people who actually know you. So just your past clients and sphere. That's what we're going to focus on first. Now, question for you. Do you think that person who registered for an open house 4 years ago has any idea who you are? The answer is no. I'm sorry, they don't. You may feel like, oh, well, I met them at the open house. I talked, they know who I am. I promise you they don't. They do not remember who you are. So when you're thinking about this group, this database, this section of people you want to communicate with, ask yourself this question. Would they recognize me at the grocery store? If the answer is yes, you should load them into LCA Nurture, and all of these sorts of things that I'm talking about will make sense. Now, if you're heavier on the lead side and you need help with lead conversion, there's a link on the screen that you can use. Otherwise, the link for you is the one Jake already put in the chat. That's the right one. Now, the second part, step 2 in really finding gold in these old contacts is getting your mind right. That, I mean, maybe sounds a little woo-woo for some of you, but Jake is in California, so we're going to go with it. We should be comfortable with the idea of getting our mind right. We should become comfortable with the reality of what's stopping most agents from reaching out to their past clients and sphere is the fear you have associated with what might happen when you do. Like, Felix, have you ever sold someone a house where maybe the water heater was a little sketchy, where the roof might not have a whole nother year left in it? Like, sometimes when you call those people, you're aware you're kicking a beehive, right? So maybe you shy away from that. Sometimes you shy away from doing it because it's been so long, you feel guilty. You know, you got to let go of that guilt. It takes 2 people to maintain a relationship. You can't do all the work there. They're probably feeling guilty too, and they'll be appreciative when you reach out and you do it in a way that doesn't make them feel guilty. Okay, so we'll help you with messaging for that. What I really need you to do is lean into the positive possibility that exists in each one of these relationships. You know, ask yourself this question. Has anyone ever referred someone to me? Like, have you had a referral in your career? Give me a yes in the chat if you've ever had a referral. I want to see that yes pop in there. And yes, I'll wait. Right, here they come. Richard, Daniela, Andrew, Amber, Deb, all these people saying yes. This is great. So let this be a moment for you. That is proof undeniable that you're doing a great job. That is proof that people appreciate the job that you do for them. They would never make a referral otherwise. They would not do that, right? So, you know, it's time to just let go of any sort of, they won't want to hear from me. Of course they'll want to hear from you. You did a great job for them. You just have to make it easy and not make it all about real estate, You care about real estate a lot more than they do, I promise you, right? So the biggest challenge here is not, how am I going to find a way to send a message? That part's easy. The biggest challenge is, what am I going to say? And in LCA Nurture, we've worked all that out for you. So that part is going to be very easy. Now, the third step, this is actually the most fun part for me. It's where you're starting the conversation with people. And I'm going to give you 3 examples here. We're going to talk about those old, cold, moldy, dead leads. You guys have some of those. You're probably like, oh, I spent so much money on that lead source and it didn't work. Well, I got some bad news for you. If you didn't understand the economics when you bought those leads, you were set up to fail right from the start. Last year, there were 135 million digital leads, and there were only 6.1 million real estate transactions. 135 million to 6.1 million. This year, I expect to see digital leads approach 150 million. And NAR expects the total number of transactions to be only 5.1 million. So pretty straight math there. There's about 30 leads for every transaction. Now, one lead gets sold multiple times, that happens. One lead registers in multiple places, that happens. And the most common things that happen are that people register well in advance of the time they're ready to talk to you about real estate. So I'll show you some content that you can win that with. Second example are going to be for past clients in Sphere, right? Owning your known is super important. Don't let anybody else ever creep between you and your past clients in Sphere. You got to own that segment of your database. You got to be all over those people. And then the third example I'm going to share is for recruitment. And I don't know that anyone here is interested in this, but guess what? When you're referring a painter, a plumber, an electrician, they have recruited you to be referring them business. Wouldn't it be cool if you could recruit them to refer you business? That would be great. So this kind of content makes sense. Now, the first place we're going to focus should always be the people closest to us. We have the most influence over those people. We have the fastest conversion to new business with people who already know us, right? So, think about all those people who actually know who you are, whether it was a real estate transaction or not. Maybe they're your neighbors. Maybe you've got, kids in school like I do, right? You're meeting lots of other parents. You got to own your known, not just because they're fastest, but because they're the highest ROI. You don't have to buy that lead. You just have to be able to suggest they come your way. And I'll show you some math here where I'll skip the math. That'll bore you to death. What you need to know is that for every 100 relationships you actually have where people actually know you, there's an average of about 12 transactions per year. So, some of you aren't doing 12 transactions right now. And some of you are like, hey, if I could add 12 more, I'd succeed my goal. So wherever you are, just understand that the way to get there is really through the people who already know you, right? And again, that clarification question is, would they recognize you at the grocery store? Okay. Now, the other reason we're going to focus on this end of the business, those people who know us, is because of what I'm sharing on the screen now. This is a bow tie funnel. There's a lot of talk about sales funnels today. You pour leads in the top and eventually a client pops out the bottom. Well, in this example, we've turned that funnel on its side, right? And then we have a whole different funnel over here on the other side. So these are your leads that pour in on the left. You educate, you build trust, you convert them to prospect, and then hopefully you close the transaction and process the sale. If you're doing a great job for people, they become your advocates and they refer people your way, right? So let's divide this in half. Again, we'll reference a little data from NAR. They tell us that in the US today, the average transaction is worth $6,000 in commission per NAR. Your market, you may be well above that. You may be well below, who knows? Does anyone want to guess what the value is on the other side? You know, how much do you think your relationship with that past client is worth over the course of your career? Let's put a dollar sign on it. I want to see what you're thinking. 20K, all right. See what else pops in here. 18 grand, 18 grand. Wow. Tony and Richard, are you guys hanging out together? Jake, I love it. 500, 500K. Okay. So this is a stat from NAR. It's very interesting to me. The average lifetime value is $117,000.
Wow.
Think about that. That should be like a smack your head moment, because some of you are so busy chasing that $6,000 and you're ignoring the $117,000. A shifting market is the precise time to get on top of this and take advantage. Excuse me. So to do that, you have to be prepared to communicate with people. And LCA Nurture is designed to do this precisely. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how this works, and I'll show you how to take these next steps. So, you know, the link that Jake gave in the chat, go there. You want to be on that page. You want to see what's available. In LCA Nurture, we have messaging only for your past clients in Sphere, only for that known portion of your database. And then we deliver messaging in a wide variety of different ways. So email, it's not old and busted, I promise. It's still the highest return in digital marketing. Text, MMS, ringless voicemail drop, handwritten cards, social media posts. Some of this is completely automated. You never have to touch it. And some of it will only go out when you say, yes, now it's time. I'm ready to have all these conversations. Let's press the button and go. And there's content in there literally for everything you can think you might need. If you have a light calendar next week, you can fill it up with appointment setting content. If you've got, you know, clients with birthdays and you don't have a strategy to reach out other than wait for Facebook to remind you, where you can be one of several other 100 people who are reaching out on their birthday, that's a huge, huge opportunity leaving by the wayside. So I'm going to show you, like right here on the screen now. Let me show you. This might be a little small. Can you read that, Felix? Can you see the text there on the screen?
Previewing double your best clients option 1.
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to read that text there. Maybe I'll just jump out and I'll show you guys inside the system itself. Let me do that. And before I do that, let me also cover, because some people are wondering, what's the deal here with LCA Nurture? How much does this cost? Like, should I use this thing or not? Yes, you should. And of course, you're never at risk with us when you do that. Our service is super, super affordable. You should definitely jump in there and use it. Now, I'm going to jump out of this slide so I can go into an actual account and show you guys around here a little bit. We push new content here into our system throughout the year. And then here on the dashboard page, we're keeping you up to speed with what's going on. So here, for example, I have my buddy Howard Shore who's got a birthday coming up. Well, I can have a text message like this go out automatically, or I can have it go out on demand. Right? So if Felix was my agent and it's my birthday a week from today, and I get a text from him saying, hey, Dan, it's Felix Hung. Am I the first person to wish you a happy birthday this year? There's 100% chance I'm going to reply to that message. Okay. You don't need to always be talking real estate. You need to show up as a human being who actually cares, right? This message shows you care, right? It lets them see that and feel that. And then, of course, on their birthday, they're going to get an automated ringless voicemail drop. That's where you've recorded the message once, and then it goes out automatically on their actual birthday. So when everyone else is saying hi on Facebook, they look down and it says, missed call from Felix Hung, right? Oh, cool. And then I listen. And it's his voice telling me he's thinking about me and wishing me a happy birthday. Right? You got to leverage technology in a smart way. Using ringless voicemail drops to like spam a neighborhood, total fail. Using it for your past clients and Sphere, total win. Right? Total win to do it that way. Now, I'm going to jump around here. I want to show you guys a few things. In the email area, we're creating new content all the time. Your job is to rate the content. So you can preview any of these messages. You want to pick one, Felix?
I think, can you get the right foods is...
It's the right foods. All right. So let's preview this message. Subject line, by the way. Anytime you're asking a question in the subject line, you get a higher open rate. Average open rate at LCA Nurture is just a tick under 40%. We have many members in the 70s and 80s. So subject line usage is great. Now, if I got this from my agent right after I registered on their website, I would think that was weird. But if I got it from Felix a year after he helped me buy a house, I would be like, oh, this is so cool. Like he's staying in touch with me. So some of you are looking at this and you're like, oh, I love it. 5 hearts. Others are like, this is the worst stuff I've ever seen. Okay. Whatever your gut is telling you, you're right. Choose the message that you like the best, and the people who get it are going to like it too, because they like you. Right? So you're going to want to click through and look at a few of these different stories. There's all sorts of fun messages here. You'll see occasionally we're linking to websites, and like want to live the dream. You'll see some of them are a little bit real estatey. This is cool. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but you can buy a home in Italy for just $1 if you're willing to move there and renovate it, right? So kind of a cool story. I'm going to jump into social media. There are a lot of companies today that post social media content for real estate agents. And if you've used one of them, you've noticed that no one really notices. Content's posted, but you don't seem to really get any engagement. This works differently. I promise you, you jump in here, you copy the text, you download the image, it's posted from your device. So social media shares it with more people, you get more reach. And as you scroll through here, you'll see like we're starting conversations on real estate related topics. You'll see that sort of content here. The idea is people are going to comment and like it. You need to like their comments, reply to their comments, and then pull them into the DMs. Hey, Felix, thanks for commenting on my post. I don't think we're connected, right? Friend Felix, ask him how he's doing. That's how you grow your sphere and you find more business on social media. Now, I'm going to scroll down here because there's a bunch of content. And every 2 weeks, we add a bunch of new content, right? So I'll just scroll through so you get the idea. Some of it you love, some of it you won't. Send the messages you like the best. That's the rule of thumb. Now, I'm going to jump down to voicemail drops. Voicemail drops are a tremendous resource when you use them the right way. And there's a message in here you should be sending right now. It's a shifting market message, right? So I'm going to demonstrate how to do this, and I'll give you a little pro tip here. If you hold the phone up, you'll sound less like you're doing a radio commercial, more like you're leaving a voicemail. At least I do. Next pro tip is that you need to make the script your own. If you have an or a ah, it's fine. That's how you leave voicemail. So let's give this a shot. Hey, it's me, Dan Stewart, over at XYZ Real Estate. I am calling you because I'm getting a lot of calls right now from people who are asking me about all the changes in real estate. And I thought you'd like an update too. I know there are some things I definitely want you to be aware of. So call me back when you get this. You've got my number. It's 727-533-5175. Okay, thanks. Bye. Right, so that's how easy that is. Now this is saved in my system and out it goes. Simple, easy way to do that. So you'll see that there are voicemail drop scripts in here for holidays, birthdays, transaction anniversaries. There's quarterly lead harvesting messages. Like once a quarter, we send out a message that gets you responses from your sphere. Hey, it's me, Dan. I was just out your way last week and I was thinking about you. Is everything good? Anything new going on? I'd love to catch up. So please give me a call, blah, 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 right? You record it once, it's sent out automatically for you throughout the year. So there's all kinds of cool content here put together in a way that's going to make sure you're sending the right message to the right people at the right time. And as a bonus, you get something called a digital business card. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to stop the screen share here for a moment and show you mine. This is it. You get to choose your background image. You get to choose what it says. And here's how we would use this in the real world. So let's imagine Felix and I, we're standing in line together at Starbucks. We have a little chat. It's time for me to hand him a business card. But instead, I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to click that link to pull up my digital business card. Okay. Now I'll say, Felix, do you have your phone on you?
Yep, right here.
Of course you do. Can you just point your camera at that for me? Okay, did you do it? Go ahead, and you guys can do this too if you want. It'll just take you to this digital business card. Yep, you got it up. You see how easy that is. Now, if we're face to face in line, Felix, I'm going to say, can you click contact info for me? So now you can email me, text me, call me. You've got all my info. Let's go ahead and save that to your phone. Right now, you can drop my contact information right there. You just create new contact at the bottom, click done at the top, and you're good. Right. So now that I know Felix has me in his phone, I'm going to want his information. So I'll click the plus and I'll just pop in first, last, phone, and email, and whoosh. Now he's not just here. He's in my LCA Nurture account, so he's eligible to get the next messages that I send out. So that's a great strategy. I have a member, she's fantastic. She sells equestrian properties. That's all she focuses on. And she walks around her area, like at the grocery store. She'll go to horse shows, she'll go all these places. And she wears a shirt that says, "Say nay if you love horses." Right? How many people do you think walk up to her and say nay? It happens all the time. So she's warm and friendly, has a nice little conversation. She says, "Hey, by the way, I could use some help. Do you know anybody who's thinking about buying or selling or investing in a horse property?" Like, it's that simple. You guys need a strategy to have conversations with everyone. LCA Nurture is your hub to let you do that. Right? So, guys, we have reached the end of today's session. It's time for you to head over to LCA Nurture. So the link is there in the chat for you. Thank you, Jake, for putting that up. I can hang out another few minutes if we have any questions coming in. I'll be happy to answer those. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned some hacks to help people not feel so overwhelmed with organization. Did you go through that when you were going through the back office of LCA Nurture, or did we miss that?
Well, I did kind of skip over something important there. Thank you, Felix. So step one, when you open your account, you're going to need to pull in your contact records. And that is super easy to do if you're a techie. If you're a real estate professional, it's like, what do I do? So there's a link you can go to where you can book a one-on-one call with a member of our support staff, and they'll help you pull your contacts out from wherever they are. They'll organize and deduplicate them to bring them into the system. And I'm going to go ahead and put that link here in the chat for everyone. It is happygrasshopper.com/white glove.
That's awesome. And if this is what we teach in our group, if you guys are overwhelmed with the organization of getting them into Google Sheets, Excel, just start at like 10 contacts a day. And it takes you 20, 30 minutes. It could be the contacts that you're making that day by texting or making your phone calls, and just take a little bit more time so you're not overwhelmed by putting them into an Excel spreadsheet. After a week, you've got 50. After a month, you've got 200. And after a couple of months, you probably have most of your database now organized. So don't feel like you have to plunge through 1,000 records in a week.
Yeah, that's a great tip. 12 years of doing this, I would maybe just plus that a little bit by saying you've got partial data records in a lot of different places. So you might be in my phone as Felix, right? And I've got your cell number and that's it. In Gmail, well, I've got your email address connected to you, but I don't have your phone number in there. In my CRM, maybe I have a little bit of both of those things, but you're my past client. So the MLS definitely has your address, right? So when you're exporting from all these different places and then combining it in LCA Nurture, that whole data record gets assembled. So, there's lots of ways to have success in real estate. Every single one of them requires that you have a strategy for leveraging your relationships. You went to all the trouble of building a great relationship. It's not too much to ask those people to really bring people to you.
This is great. And for the investment of $47 a month, your next lead is most likely coming from past clients and referral. So if your plan is to pray for them to remember you and call you, there's no plan at all.
I love how cut and dry that is. It's just like, I think the number one thing right now is this sense of, ooh, market is changing. Like agents are kind of feeling a little tingly about that at the moment. A lot of markets around the country are still white hot, but there's dread on the horizon and it's changing behavior. So, rather than shrink away from that, it's time to rise and lean into it and extend your leadership to the community that you serve, right? All those people are going to remember you, not just as the person who sold them a house 2 years ago, but the person who took the time to reach out and make sure they're feeling comfortable today because you're armed with accurate information that's helpful for them. Okay.
Yeah, I love that what you said earlier about being a leader to your audience, to your sphere in your database, because right now there's so much uncertainty, and if you've got fear and you're sticking your head in the sand, you're not going to have a great year in business. You number one, go back to mindset. You've got to believe that it's a great time to buy and sell right now, or at least certain people should buy and sell right now. Then arm yourself with the data that Dan was talking about, and go out there and talk to people.
Yeah. Best financial decision I ever made was buying a house, period. My mortgage rate for our first mortgage was 8.25%. And I was like, yeah, 8.25%. I crushed it. I got a great rate. That was awesome. My parents once had a mortgage at 19%. That's like everybody has to live somewhere. Those are just numbers. Affordability is a big issue today for sure. And yet there's all sorts of new products that are being introduced to help address that. So.
And what year was that when you first bought at the 8.5%?
It was 1998. Yeah, 1998. And our first house, I'll just tell you the story real quick. It had been in one family since 1938. And it had been vacant. It was a home for like rats and cats for the 8 years prior to us buying it. It was a renovation project. I'm super handy. I've worked construction in a younger life as a college kid. So I was happy to like really dig into that project, and that home put me in business. When we sold it 5 years later, we had so much equity, I was able to start my first company. So
wow.
Real estate is where it's at. You guys should know that better than anyone.
That's a great story. So guys, remember, Jake put the link to sign up in the chat, and it should also be on Facebook Live, guys. Sign up today, guys. This is a great product, and just like Dan was saying, this is the perfect time to refocus on your sphere. It is where your next deal is most likely to come from. What else are you doing in this space?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take advantage of the opportunity when it avails itself. We don't often have market shift events. Ask around, talk to people in your brokerage who've been through a shift before. They're excited. This is a chance to take market share. This is a chance to grow, because a lot of people who maybe shouldn't be in the industry are going to exit, right? So anyway, I'm just delighted to have been able to share all of this with you guys today. Thank you for letting me do that. And Felix, thanks for all your great questions. And I will definitely look forward to seeing you guys online. So have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, guys, for participating. Bye, guys.
Bye.